Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Friday, hope you enjoyed watching games last night. We'll break them down with JC on the Titan MR Hotline. Second portion of today's show, we had Edgar Thompson join the program, beat writer for the Florida Gators from the Orlando Sentinel. Give us his thoughts, what he thinks going on at spring practice. But let's head to the Titan MR Hotline, and we're joined by Corn Dog. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Hey, man, good. Just trying to, wipe the sleep out from my eyes after staying up again till 12:45 watching basketball. I think the NCAA just hates the Eastern time zone and everybody in it because these games go so late. But I understand what they're doing. It was some good basketball, dude. I was really glued to the television. And that Houston game last night to end the day just showed how tough the Cougars are. It showed what a great coach Kelvin Sampson is. And this is the second year in a row they've made it to the Elite Eight, and certainly hoping to make it 2 years in a row to the Final Four. So Houston's a great story. I thought Duke, with its 70-some-odd% shooting last night in the second half, was unbelievable. It's like they are playing as if they do not want to be the team that loses Mike Krzyzewski's last game. So if they go ahead and win the whole thing, then they can say they never lost his last game. And then you had, Arkansas traveling out to San Francisco and really throwing the clamps on Gonzaga with the defense that they played, keeping Gonzaga to somewhere like 35% from the floor. It was just an impressive defensive performance by the Hogs, and good for them. They're going to get they're going to have to beat
Duke, which I think
Duke.
They will.
Yeah. So that's going to be what we got. And tonight's going to be probably just as good, QB. I'm excited, to see if St. Peter's can hang with Purdue, although it's hard to see that happening on paper. But it's also very hard seeing them be where they are right now on paper. And then, I think this North Carolina-UCLA game is going to be a classic. And, I'm interested to see if Providence can hang and if Iowa State can hang. So it should be a good night tonight.
Yeah, I went to bed at half of both the late games. Wanted. Did you watch the entire Duke game, JC?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, mostly the second half.
Did they start getting a bunch of foul calls their way late in the game?
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they absolutely did. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for Texas Tech, really played a very solid game. I mean, deserved to win in every way, but Duke didn't miss, QB. And yes, you're right. They did get a lot of calls, but they did not miss. Their shooting was unbelievable. I think his name is Roach or something. Man, the kid didn't miss. But they did get some, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be impartial about it, but it did seem like the whistles were going their way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they have to play Arkansas next. And I'll tell you this. What surprised me the most from that game, Arkansas played a good game. There's no question. They played really good defense. However, Gonzaga missed so many, I'm talking wide open three-pointers, and Nembhard had little 6-footers in the lane, and he could not score. He was wide open, but Arkansas, give them credit. Charles Barkley had me cracking up after that game. I don't know if you saw him in studio, but he goes, congratulations to Arkansas. Woo Soo Piggy. That's what he said. He said, Woo Soo Piggy. And I was dying laughing. But anyway, I tip of the hat to Arkansas. I thought Eric Musselman had a tremendous plan against Gonzaga, and their kids played extremely well. Texas Tech and Houston, the way their kids play and who those kids are, it will blow your mind if you actually follow college basketball. because think about it. Houston in December lost their two best players. I mean, like All-American type players. And they have a chance to go back to the Final Four back-to-back years. You look at Texas Tech, JC, I don't even know if you're aware of this, but you know that majority of their kids that play, listen to where they transferred from.
Okay.
Kevin O'Banner was the kid, number 0, who played against us from Oral Roberts last year that knocked down a bunch of threes against the Gators.
Right.
Okay. Adonis Arms is a transfer from Winthrop. Bryson Williams is a transfer from UTEP. Davion Warren is a transfer from Hampton. And Marcus Santos Silva is a transfer from VCU. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
What Texas Tech is doing with those guys. So basically what I'm saying is, yeah, you want to get the McDonald's All-Americans, the 5-stars or what have you, but these small mid-major schools have really good players that can play with the big boys, and Texas Tech is a prime example of that, as is Houston. So I really thought Texas Tech would win that game, but I don't know what happened in the second half. I missed it all because I could not stay away.
Duke couldn't miss, QB. I mean, they shot 73%, I believe, is the number in the second half from the floor. That is hard to beat when everybody's making shots. I mean, they just kept making shots, and Texas Tech, to its credit, did not go away. It was very good basketball to watch. It was not sloppy. It was not ugly. It was just it was up and down, and it was fun to watch. He's clean. You know, I don't know, QB, if you would agree with this or not, or if you think this is a factor, but I think the quality of some of the games has certainly been better watching basketball maybe this season, and maybe the pandemic had a lot to do with that, because you know when things slowed down, these kids were given an extra year of eligibility. A lot of them stayed, of course, most of them did, and they got older and they got more experienced, and they just seem to be better players out there on the court right now. I think these teams are really good. Everybody that's playing, and when you talk about the small schools, we've got 2 of the smallest in the country playing tonight in the Sweet 16. St. Peter's is certainly one of the smallest schools in the country, and Providence is not much bigger. Providence is a team you've heard about, but they've only got 3,000 kids on their little campus. So, you know, they're playing 2 of the bluest bloods you can find in Purdue and Kansas tonight, and I know sentimentally I'll be rooting for both of them. I'd love to see St. Peter's and Providence win tonight. And then you've got the 2 bluest of the blue bloods playing in North Carolina and UCLA. It's just a good scene for basketball. I think it's a very healthy sport right now when you consider the quality of play. I think is really good. I think it's been helped by the pandemic, helping these kids get older and have more eligibility and continue to play in college. And it also, you know, you've got teams like Miami, who with a very experienced coach that took George Mason to the Final Four, has shown that they can surprise teams too. And look at what the ACC has had with Duke, Miami, and North Carolina all getting this far. So it makes them feel better, at least I know, in that conference. And you've got really good basketball. I mean, offensively, I think we're seeing some really good basketball. And last night we saw it on the defensive side with Arkansas and Houston. So, I mean, Arizona, you know, everybody was all over Arizona, just slurping on Arizona. Arizona, they scored 60 points last night and got shut down by the Houston Cougars. So this is turning out to be quite a final event for basketball this year. It's been pretty good, I think.
Well, I'll tell you why the tournament is what it is. It's called the transfer portal.
Yeah,
that's why there's so much parity in college basketball, and you can make your team very relevant, very, very fast. That's what Arizona did when they got their coach from Gonzaga, the assistant coach, took the head job. Mm-hmm. He brought in international players. He brought in players from all around the place. Now, granted, they didn't play well last night. A lot of people don't score against Houston. Like I told you, I think the biggest, and that's not a surprise, but it's just, I guess the most impressive thing to me is how Kelvin Sampson does it year in and year out with players you never heard of, tons of transfers, and losing star players, and they continue to win. So, it's good stuff. Tonight will be interesting as well to see what happens. I'm curious now why. I was thinking about this last night when I couldn't stay awake much longer. Why on, the first round of the tournament we have games during the day? Why can't they have started? They played 4 games last night?
That's right.
Why couldn't they have started the first game at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and staggered them one after the other?
I know. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I'm not an executive in television anymore. I don't know, what goes through their thinking when you have 2 really super games on at literally the same time, 4 minutes apart on the clock. It's just not necessary. You can start this thing like, look, QB, we talked about the other day, in Major League Baseball, some of these playoff games at the postseason start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They don't have a problem with that. I agree with you. I mean, start these things at 3 o'clock, 5:30, 7:30, and 9 or whatever, or do something even earlier than that. But watch them all consecutively as opposed to concurrently. And I don't know why they do that. It's ridiculous that the Eastern time zone waits until 10 o'clock to watch anything sporting wise. And I just don't think it serves the sport well. Because people just they can't stay awake, man. It's a Thursday night. I feel bad also for that Tommy Lloyd. I know Arizona, we've talked about Arizona, and we won't talk about them much more. But this Tommy Lloyd had 33 wins, and that basically was 1 win shy of becoming the most wins for a coach in the first year. So, nobody's had 34 wins as a first-year coach, and he was 1 shy of that. But, boy, he really did get them going, and it just blew my mind to see the way they were locked up by the Houston Cougars last night. So, people in San Antonio are happy because Houston's not far away, and they'll have quite a following, as will Iowa State tonight, Chicago, and as will St. Peter's tonight, Philadelphia. It'll bring atmosphere. Watching Duke and Arkansas play out in San Francisco was good. There were plenty of fans there. But, man, that's 3 time zones. 2 for Arkansas, 3 for Duke to travel to go play a basketball game. I know there's nothing the NCAA can do. I mean, nobody can predict who's going to play in these games, before it starts. These sites are handled well in advance. It's not far a trip for Gonzaga. But I do like it when proximity is close for these schools because it gets these fans in the building and you have a great atmosphere for a very important game.
Don asked here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Why do you think schools don't give Kelvin Sampson a look? I know he had the recruiting violations early in his career. What he is doing with Houston is remarkable.
Well, I think he answered.
I don't know.
I think he answered his question. I think it just comes from his past, but that tends to disappear, QB. And this guy is a proven winner. I mean, he's won at Oklahoma, and he's won here. And, yeah, he's got some things on his record, just like many of them do, which today would not be a problem, I suppose. So, I don't know the depth or the specifics of what he got involved with, but he got over it. It became, something in the past, and I don't think anybody's talking about that now. I mean, look what he's got this team doing, and many players missing that he had last year on the team that went to the Final Four. So, a great job. He's doing a great job at Houston.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people here chiming in about TV times. Somebody said, well, the first game was at 4 o'clock Pacific time. Nobody gives a damn about them out there. I don't know. They need to go 3, 5, 7, and 9. That's simple for these Elite Eight games.
Yeah,
or Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, whatever it is. Yeah. So anyway, Greg says I saw a lot of empty seats at the Gonzaga game, I guess you said.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. What's weird is you got so behind the benches, so that lower level on both sides of the court, the one side of the court away from the benches you don't see. So I forgot what game it was, but after I think it was Gonzaga lost, all their people left. They were behind their bench, and they didn't stay for the second session of that game. So sometimes it makes it look like there's nobody there, but those were affiliated with the team. Charlie says it is odd how Sampson can't get over his past. Coach Cal had seasons removed from his books from UMass and Memphis, and UK didn't care. Now let's be honest. Kelvin Sampson, he may be happy at Houston, may not want to go anywhere. Think about it. He went to the Final Four last year. He's got a chance to go this year, and he knows he can dominate his conference. and he knows he has the pedigree, and he can get the players to play the way he wants to play and compete for a national title. So maybe he thinks he's got an easier route that way. And I'm not sure, but Houston pays their coaches pretty well, because I know Dana Holgerson's making $4 or $5 million coaching Houston in football.
Well, QB, they're also about to be a Big 12 member. I mean, Houston's about to play in the same conference as Kansas and Texas, and Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State. They're fine. Why would you want to leave there? I think Houston's got they've got a pass in basketball. Everybody knows who Phi Slama Jama was. Everybody knows who Clyde Drexler was. Everybody knows who Hakeem Olajuwon was. They got history, and Houston's a good school. It's right in the middle of that big metroplex there, and I think kids like to play there. It's warm, good climate. I'd go to Houston if Kelvin called me. But heck yeah. But again, they're going to be a Big 12 school here, so it's a good situation. And if you can go back to the Final Four, and UCLA is going to try to do that as well with their game tonight against North Carolina, which I think is going to be spectacular to watch. You've got defense against offense, two really tradition-rich programs. You can't find any more tradition than those two. Then I think we're setting up for something really special tonight. I'm going to enjoy it. Just try to stay awake, man. That's all you can do. And luckily tomorrow Saturday, so yeah.
Yeah, well, tonight will be easier to stay awake. Andy said here on Facebook Live, JC, did you see the Todd Golden press conference? Any takeaways from that? I guess he's asking you that because you weren't a big fan of the hire.
Well, I didn't watch it. Press conferences to me are kind of boring before anything's happened. I did see a piece that Todd Golden was involved in when they did a story on a Ukrainian basketball player at San Francisco. And of course, that's where Todd Golden has been coaching. And, he seems like quite a nice, personable young fellow. At 36 years old, he's coming across the country to try to prove that he can win at a school like Florida, and let's see if he can do it. I'm willing to give everybody a chance, right? It just didn't knock me off my feet when I saw the hire. But, regardless of that, I'm not considered an insider in basketball by any stretch of the imagination. And when Billy Donovan refers somebody, you probably give them the benefit of the doubt, I would think. So we'll see how that works out for Florida. Hopefully it will work out well, because he's going to be here for quite a long time with a 6-year contract. So I think that, Florida's going with the youth movement. A lot of schools are doing that. And the transfer portal, like you said, QB, the transfer portal, it evens the playing field. It really does. So Florida can be successful, just as Baylor has been, just as other schools have been. And I don't see why, he wouldn't be successful here. He can find players to come to Gainesville. So let's see if he can do it. It's really about selling the program. I've said this. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. It's a sales job. And Florida's got a lot to offer. So why not get some good guys in here that can play basketball? If old-ass Jim Larinaga can do it in Miami, then I don't see why somebody half his age can do it in Gainesville. You know what I mean?
No, I agree, and I have zero doubt that he's going to bring in some good players. I think the fans have to realize the days of signing classes, kids out of high school, mean nothing in basketball. Absolutely nothing. Because Larinaga, his entire team is pretty much made up of transfers.
Yes.
And that's what you do now. If you do get the so-called 5 stars, they're going to be one and done for the most part. So I saw last night there's 2 players from Kentucky already entered the transfer portal. I think the freshman of the year in the Big Ten played at I think his name's Max Christie, played at Michigan State. He entered the transfer portal yesterday. The freshman of the year. So it's just the way of the world now, and I think you can be relevant very, very fast. And this guy's going to have the energy to go out and recruit. He's going to bring in international players. And look, I don't know who else. I can't tell you, JC, how many Gator fans I see so disappointed with the hire. And I ask them point blank, who would you have wanted? And you know what? They can't ever tell me.
Yeah, and listen, Eric Musselman's got a little pedigree behind him with his dad being a coach.
Okay, but hang on. Eric Musselman, you know how he built his program?
Well, I know.
Those are transfers.
Right. Yeah, what I was going to get at, the QB, was the folks weren't knocking down the door to get in Fayetteville when he got hired. So, I mean, he's turned out to be a great personality. He's turned out to be somebody the fans are locked into. And my God, QB, can you imagine if they beat Duke and they end up in New Orleans, that the entire state of Arkansas is going to be in Louisiana for the next 5 days, starting next Wednesday. I mean, they're going to, you know how good the Arkansas fans travel. If they end up in New Orleans, dude, that place is going to be overrun with Arkansas fans. But to the point, nobody was, like I said, trying to rush into the building when Musselman was hired at Arkansas. And, so you just got to give them a chance. And I get the fans. The fans want immediate satisfaction with everything, right? That's the way the world works today. But in something like this, give the kid a chance, see if he can do it. I shouldn't say kid. I mean, he's a 36-year-old man. But give the man a chance to try to build something here and get it going again and get the fans energized. Look, this guy's going to play I think he's going to play an up-tempo style of game with guards pushing the action. I think that's what's going to get fans excited.
Well, I hope so, because that's what Mike White was doing before he got hired here, and then somehow, for some reason,
it stopped.
His philosophy changed. So, it's I like the hire. The more I think about it as the days go by, I like it a lot. But Rick says on Facebook Live, transfer to the school with the best NIL. You're going to see kids do that. You're going to see. I guarantee you, if they don't, we're got on this damn NIL now again, but. If they don't govern this thing and get it corrected, you're going to see guys winning Heisman trophies or whatever, players of the years, basically jumping from school to school to see where they can get the most money. It's going to happen. You can book it, and it's going to be that's the problem I have. I understood what Andy was talking about the other day. I agree, but I also disagree that I don't. I think it's ridiculous to pay kids who have not performed at a high, and I know it's not my money, but I just think it's ridiculous. Because they may never perform at all. So,
QB, did you did you enjoy? I mean, can you imagine? How about this Villanova Houston game we're going to have on Saturday?
Let me tell you something.
Wow.
Jay Wright has always been one of my favorite coaches. I just think what he's done at Villanova is phenomenal. His program is built on dudes that play hard. They're disciplined. Obviously, he's got the Big East Player of the Year in Colin Gillespie, which he knocked down some huge threes, and that's what he does. But he's got a couple transfers in his program too. But boy, they're so solid and sound. But whoever gets to 50 may win that game.
Yeah, but they do like the up tempo. I mean, Houston does like to run. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. You know, so I think it'll be fun to watch. It's going to be just fantastic basketball. I mean, this is what we want when we get to this time of year: the best playing the best, and with a couple of surprises sprinkled in there who got hot. So, man, I'm. Tonight, I'm just curious to see how these small guys do against the big boys, and then I'm really interested in that North Carolina game. So,
you only got one game with small guys against the big boys. There's only one.
Well, I shouldn't say Providence is small, but it's a school.
Providence is a Big East champ, so how are they small? The Big East for 50 years.
Yeah, they have, but QB, I mean, it's a tiny little school, tiny.
Right, but the size of the school has no factor on how many kids they have on their basketball team. Florida has 50-something thousand students.
Yeah,
we have the same amount of players on our team as St. Peter's do, because you can only have so many. But St. Peter's is a tremendous story. I don't know how they keep the game close tonight. I really don't. The only reason I say that is because you got a lottery pick in Jaden Ivey at the guard position for Purdue, and then you got a 7'4" and another 7-footer that are very skilled big guys. I just don't know how St. Peter's can handle those guys, but crazier things have happened.
You have to run. You have to go up and down.
But that's not what St. Peter's does. They slow it down for the most part and try to play good defense. That's what they did at Kentucky. So we'll see. Real quick, Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. They offer auto, home, life, health insurance, and a lot more. Just ask them or go visit them at ogreinsurance.com or give them a call, 352-240-1779. Speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline, and then we'll be joined about 8:30-ish with Edgar Thompson. Get his thoughts of what he's seen, what he's heard out at practice.
So QB, I got a quick story that folks may be interested in watching this podcast. The other day, I had the opportunity to go up to the 7th floor up the football stadium at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and they are selling seats up there. And I'm not in the market to buy one, but
you're talking about the Champions Club? Are you talking about the Champions Club or in the skybox?
I'm talking about above the Champions Club at the very top, what they call the 7th floor, Okay,
hang on. It's a skybox. Then it's an indoor seating, correct?
Yeah,
it's a skybox.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's a skybox, and you can crack the windows up there. But I guess what I'm getting at is that they have a couple seats available at the low price and discounted rate of $3,300 per for the upcoming season, and it includes everything, all the food and drink you can have 2 hours before the game, 1 hour after the game, and I got up there and my breath was taken away at how high that place is. And when you're in the stadium and you're looking up, you go, oh, that's nice up there. When you get up there, QB, I don't know how many of our viewers and listeners have been to that area of the stadium. It is without a doubt, in my mind, the highest area to watch a football game in America. I looked down at the sunshine level of the north end zone. I looked down at the roof of the O'Connell or Exactech Arena behind me, and it is so high up there that you can see everything, of course, but everything is small way down on the field. But you're literally looking directly at the lights across on the east side of the stadium. That's how high it is. And I just couldn't imagine watching a football game up there. My palms got sweaty walking up and down the steep stairs, holding on to the rails just to get to the seats that are right there pressed up against the window in what is called the party zone up there, which is on the far north end of the area. And I just was amazed at how high it is. I'm scared of heights. I'm naturally scared of heights. My brain shuts down. I go into some sort of convulsive vertigo condition. It's horrible for me. But I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned that people actually go up there to watch a Florida Gator football game. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I've never been I know some people love skyboxes. I've never been a fan of skybox because it doesn't matter how high they are. Because you go in a skybox during a football game, you might as well be in somebody's living room or kitchen at their house because not one of them is paying attention to the game, and they're just talking like they're in the kitchen. And it drives me insane.
Listen, I'm not espousing that's where we need to go, but I think the university, when they put that hotel up there, literally, it's unbelievable. I don't think there's an area higher than that in all of America at any stadium. It's so high, I can't get over it.
Trust me. When I was a youngster, and my mom and dad used to go to a bunch of Ole Miss games. Yeah. When they built the upper deck. So they got 2 upper decks now, but they only had 1 upper deck at Tiger Stadium at LSU. I'll never forget. Mm-hmm. They put the Ole Miss people at the very, very top.
Yeah,
that upper deck. Yeah. And I remember this is when I'm like in middle school or maybe in elementary school. I'll never forget there was a sign that says, "Please be careful standing up and walking down the stairs and like limit your movement unless you really have to." I mean, it was so freaking steep. I'd never been to a place that steep. Anyway, so JC, our listeners here would like for you to purchase some tickets to give away on the podcast. How about that?
For the
skybox. Why don't you do that?
Skybox, yeah, $6,000. Okay, I'm in the market for that. Maybe we can do something. I tell you, it's. I think it's a good price if that's not an issue for you. If money is of no object, and you want to be in a climate-controlled environment. But man, you're right, dude. You're removed from the football game.
Yeah, you don't have the crowd. You can crack your window, but it's still not the same.
That's not.
I got a Facebook Live. Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Clay asked, "Shane, did you play basketball in high school?" Yes, I was on one of the best high school basketball teams in the history of the state of Mississippi. Had 5 Division I players. 2 played in the NBA for a while. We lost 5 times. We were like 28-5 and lost. 28-6 and lost to Chris Jackson's teams 5 times. Almost won a state championship. So, really good basketball team. JC, before we let you go, well, Dan says he's on row 6 in section 14. He likes that because he can hear the players and he can hear the hits. Yeah, you get the crowd noise. You get the crowd noise. You get the feeling of being at a game. Like I said, I have nothing against people going in those skyboxes because I understand they want to get in their nice clothes and go have drinks and, you may have clients or whatever, but literally you don't get the feel of a football game at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ben says he's sat in those LSU seats as well, and it's too high. I swear it is the highest. It's way higher, JC, than those skyboxes at Steve Spurrier, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And think about this. They're not enclosed. So if you fall,
I can't think.
You're gone. You're gone.
I can't think. They play these night games in Baton Rouge, and you know what they do during the day. My God, I don't know how.
I don't know how more people haven't fallen off of that place. That's what
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this is dangerous up here. My God, there's nowhere to fall. I mean, if you go through it, you get that momentum rolling downhill like that up there. Whew. So
Daniel says he watched a race at Daytona from the indoor stands once, and it was the most out of touch feeling he's ever had.
Yeah,
that's how it is. All right, JC, before we let you go here, I don't know if you've watched, you and I, we talk golf on here. The World Golf Championship match play has been going on.
Yeah.
I forgot, and I'm still not smart enough to figure out the format of this. It's almost kind of like the World Cup. You have these different like pods, and you have to win it. You get points and all. It's crazy, but that golf course, if I ever make it to Austin, Texas, I have got to play that because it is one of the coolest golf courses I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because it has those holes on there, the risk reward type holes. But that easy par, they had an easy par 5 where literally in the last 2 days, 7 PGA Tour players have chipped the ball from one side of the green into the water because of the slope and the speed of the greens. I couldn't believe it. 7 of them.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It's a great place. I don't know how either of us is doing because, these guys play through these rounds. So I guess we'll find out on the weekend.
Well, today they go down to their Sweet 16. So some guys already know they're eliminated, but they still have to play today.
They have to play,
I have our guys here, I think. Let me see.
I saw my guy Cantlay stink up the joint yesterday. Couldn't make anything, and lose. Horschel, I think, is 2-0, so I think he's on the right track. I don't know if either of us picked him. I can't remember.
You picked Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas, and Colin Morikawa.
Okay.
I have Scotty Scheffler, Alex Noren, and Terrell Hatton.
Okay. Well, JT won yesterday. I know Chef is 2-0. I think he's also in great shape. Cantlay lost. So 5-4. I mean, you get rolled losing 5-4. That basically means you win by 5 holes with 4 to play. That's called a butt kicking, right? So
Yep.
So
no doubt.
So we'll see. But Horschel's right there. Gator fans follow him extensively, so he'll be on the weekend with a chance. Well,
he's the only guy that can battle for the Gators because there's about 12 Georgia Bulldogs on.
They're everywhere. The Georgia Bulldogs.
They're everywhere. Yep. All right, JC.
Okay.
Have a good weekend. We'll recap all the weekend sports. Yep. Tennessee, I think, rolls in for softball. LSU's rolling in for baseball. So a big week on campus.
Yeah. No doubt. All right, my man.
All right, that's JC Jones on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a timeout, come back. We'll be joined by Orlando Sentinel Gator beat writer Edgar Thompson. Will give his thoughts on Billy Napier and spring football. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. It's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron, Bass Pro Shops, International Diamond Center, Prime and Pearl, the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and now serving brunch on Saturday and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. Let's head to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by Orlando Sentinel's Edgar Thompson. Good morning, Edgar. How are you, my man?
I'm doing okay, man. A little technical difficulties here, but I think we're good.
Yeah, I hear you. Edgar, Jace, real quick before we jump into the Gator stuff, I know you're a big golf fan. Do you like the World Match Play?
Oh, yeah. It's a nice change of pace. I like it. I wish in a way it would be single elimination. But I understand.
It's confusing as hell to me. I'm not smart enough to figure out that World Cup format because that's basically what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like the World Cup?
Well, yeah. So like today, for example, Justin Thomas and Kisner are playing, which could be a really good match. So JT is 1-1, Kisner's 2-0. So what happens? So if JT wins 2-1, then Luke List he beat JT. If he's 2-1, I don't know how they figure out the tiebreaker. It's just they're the pod. They're one pod of whatever 16. It would be much more cut and dried. But then JT would be out because he lost in the first round, and television partners would much rather see Justin Thomas and Luke List progressing. You see, so I don't know. But it's fun. It's exciting. Yeah, it's big pride. I mean, they're paying. These guys are putting every week for substantial money. What was it last week? Brian Harmon missed like a 3-footer at Tampa on the 18th. I mean, it probably was a $150,000 putt. I mean, I'm nervous over a $5 putt.
Right? No question about it. Yep. All right, Edgar. So let's jump into the Gators before we get to spring football. Todd Golden was announced as the Gators head basketball coach the other day. What did you take from the press conference, your research on him? Do you like the hire? Do you think they should have gone like most Gator fans, want these big names? I try to tell them big names in basketball ain't leaving the big name schools they're at. So your thoughts on Todd Golden?
Yeah, I have people complaining. It's like the fans, man. Look, they're great, and I only exist because of people's interest in this program. So I try to be very careful about, ripping on fans because that's what makes the sport for these players and everything. It's the interest. But it's like I hear things like Tony Bennett was coming here. Why is Tony Bennett leaving Virginia for Florida? I know the Cavaliers didn't have a great season, but it's a great university, a great program, great support tradition. It doesn't seem like why would that even happen? And the list goes on there. So he's just one of a number. I mean, Todd Golden's a guy who really wanted to be here based on what he said. Now, you always hear that. But when this job came open, he said he and his wife were very excited about this potential opportunity. He's trying to make the next step in his career, and that's what you have to find. And that's what Scott Strickland's template, let's say, for hiring coaches seems to be right now. He brought Billy Napier in from Louisiana, who's a guy who wanted to make the next step, who'd done well at the previous level, and now he's trying to level up. And he has a background that, interested Scott Strickland, the Bama blueprint, all that stuff when it comes to Napier. In Todd Golden's case, he has some experience with Auburn under Bruce Pearl. He did quite well at the WCC level, and he's looking to level up. It may or may not work out. I was impressed with what I saw. The guy's very smart. He's very charismatic. Seems very confident, if not a little cocky. I think fans should like that. And he plays a brand of basketball that looks to be exciting. He's going to play up-tempo. He also leans heavily on the analytics, which is the way the game's going. He digs into the data very deeply. It's going to influence late-game decisions, substitution patterns. I think there were some things with Mike White where you were at times kind of scratch your head, like, what's that? Why did they do this? And then there would be scoring droughts and these kinds of things that I think in the end fans kind of, lost patience with. So we'll see if Todd Golden can do it. He's coming into a challenging situation in a much better conference than even Mike White walked into, and certainly Billy Donovan left. And, but hey, it's a tough job, man. They don't pay people $3 and $4 and whatever $1 million, they don't just hand that out. So a lot of pressure and expectations come with that.
Yeah, Dan says on Facebook Live, they all are excited because they got to leave California with a smiley face. Joseph says, Todd Golden said the fans should have high expectations, eager to see if he changes his tune. John says, hopefully he doesn't change his style like Mike White did, as I have mentioned before, because I watched Mike White at Louisiana Tech. They were up and down the floor, pressing, full court. I mean, I don't know what changed his philosophy, but one thing I think is going to be important, because he's young, he coached under Bruce Pearl. He saw how Auburn was nothing in basketball. Bruce Pearl has made them relevant. He's brought excitement to that arena they have. Don't you think, and I think he mentioned this, Edgar, he's going to try to engage as much as he can, not only just in the community, but more with the student body, how Bruce Pearl does.
Yeah, I brought up the Rowdy Reptiles. Hey, look, they did a good job even through the end of the Mike White era. I mean, those were the fans that still showed up, were the students, and brought energy. And it's a good student section. Look, I covered the New Mexico basketball program back in the 90s. I mean, they would pack the pit every game, 18,000, man. And it was an impressive atmosphere. And it makes a difference. And if he can get this place rocking again, the O-Dome, because it was dead by the end of the Mike White era. Apathy had set in. The energy, there needed to be an energy, someone to re-energize this program. Now, Mike was going to be back. In Scott Strickland's mind, he expected Mike White to be back. He was, I think, caught off guard a bit by the decision to go to Georgia. Now, he wasn't necessarily, I'm guessing, surprised Mike was seeking another opportunity, but going to the SEC, staying in conference was kind of like, it was a bit of an odd move. I mean, I don't know what your take was on it. I was at TPC, in fact, speaking of golf, on that Sunday that was getting, all the weather, and it was like, what? Mike White's going to Georgia? It like blindsided me, and it was on Selection Sunday of all days. So a little bit of a strange move. But his agent, I guess, is a bulldog. But to Todd Golden, I mean, he is going to come in here and he understands, that's a big part of it, man, is energizing the fan base. To do that, though, you got to get players in here and you got to win games. I like his philosophy. You and I discussed this, I think, via text. He does have some international ties, whether it's Australia and Europe, which the WCC is kind of known for having that kind of culture, bringing those players from various parts of the world. The SEC hasn't really tapped into that market. If he's able to do that, I like that. I think the internationals, they're typically very good shooters, something the Gators lacked big time this year. He even said the two things we got to do better next year: shoot and defensive rebound. I mean, he's obviously watched plenty of the Gator film. Didn't take much, though, to see that they couldn't shoot or rebound the basketball effectively this last year.
No doubt. I know he hasn't mentioned this, but just your opinion or some of the things that you've heard when he looks at the roster of the returning Gator players, who off this roster do you think he'll want to try to keep? Because nowadays, you know, he can have a meeting with each player in a nice way, try to say, you know, we're going to go a different route. We'll help you in the portal, whatever. It's, you know, it's a way coaches can cut kids now. What do you think he does with the current guys on this roster?
Cut them now. No, I'm kidding. I mean, Billy, you know, it was Billy. If you weren't fitting in, Billy, you know, found a way to kind of nudge you out the door a little. And I really liked dealing with Billy. Billy was fantastic and obviously a legendary coach. But he would give, I remember Dylan Graham left and he gave like an 8-minute like symposium about how, oh man, it was tough to say good. It's like, come on, Billy. I mean, he wasn't fitting in. So I mean, obviously Kawasi Reeves, he wants back. I mean, this guy was a borderline 5-star. I think a lot of people felt, you know, in the recruiting community that Kawasi was kind of a steal, that has NBA potential. I mean, the guy certainly got the body. You know, we saw flashes of some real talent there. Jatobo, the guy developed. I tell you, Mike did not develop a lot of players. And I think that was one of the things, like you saw guys regress, not progress. And Jatobo did develop. And I think why wouldn't you want a 6'11" guy who showed some signs? Niles Lane made some strides this year, surprisingly. You know, I don't know why you wouldn't want to bring back a guy who started to show, you know, get some traction, you know, this past year. Beyond that, I mean, I'm looking at Elijah Kennedy, just didn't see enough of him or know enough. You know, who else are we talking about? Gatek, Gatkek, or however you say his name. I'm sorry, you know. I mean, look, the guy showed a lot of fight, man. I mean, he makes me look like, you know, a bodybuilder, but he is he showed some fight. So, you know, there aren't a lot of guys coming back, bottom line. They're just the roster. Oh, Felder. You know, I think you definitely want Felder back. I was expecting a lot more from CJ Felder. I think he battled some injuries. Just, you know, I definitely think you want him back. He came here with a kind of a junkyard dog reputation from Boston College, and he has experience. So, but it's a thin roster returning. He's got a lot of work to do to fill out that lineup.
Switching gears real quick, a few more minutes here with Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Spring practice, you like what you've seen. I know you media guys get to watch just a little bit, not a whole lot, but you know, as I texted you the other day, the one thing that's still so impressive to me is how Billy Napier in his press conferences, I mean, he just knows how to answer questions.
I personally agree. It's so funny. Like after the Golden thing, I got people like, oh, I was, you know, didn't say anything. I mean, I thought the guy was very impressive. I'm easily impressed. I use the expression I got from a sports writer buddy of mine years ago in New Mexico. I vote for quotes. And I thought he said enough for me to write plenty of stories. I'm actually going to write one once I finish up here on Todd. But yeah, I think Billy's very thorough. He knows what his message is. He's not going to stray from it. He knows what he wants to get across, and he does a good job of it. The guy is hyper organized. You hear about his staff meetings. I mean, they are shoehorning people into a room right now because of the facility that they're in right now. I mean, he's got dozens of people in there, and he goes across the room. He's like, you know, orchestrating this plan. The guy the other day, Joshua Thompson, said within 15 minutes, he's assigned a month and a half of work to the staff. I mean, he is that organized and on point. And I'm sure that's how he runs his practices. And what I've seen is we've seen minimal stuff because we're only in there at the beginning and they throw a little bit. Anthony Richardson against air looks like he's throwing the football pretty well. Jack Miller looks pretty sharp. It's going to be an interesting competition there. But in terms of everything else, you just don't see enough, Shane. But, you know, he had obviously he's inheriting a 6-7 team. I mean, there's just a lot of questions that have to be answered. But, you know, Billy does seem to have put a pretty solid staff in place. They seem very excited about Patrick Toney. I think the guy's 31 years old. I think he could be a rising, I don't want to say star, but he's certainly trending. Corey Raymond spoke yesterday, the cornerbacks coach that everyone's very excited about, and heard just great things about him. And he's going to be very exacting, and that position needs to play better. I mean, secondary has been an issue even in 19 when the team was good. The safeties were terrible. So, you know, there are just tons of questions, man. I mean, I can't even get my mind around everything that's been thrown our way and all the people we've spoken with. They keep throwing guys at us, and it's like it's hard to keep up for the media, you know, much less for everyone out there. But I do, let's see. I mean, I made a couple of notes. I will say yesterday we talked to Javon Dexter, and he's a kid who came in with 5 stars and a lot of promise, but not a lot of experience. So he talked yesterday, Shane, that kid's body has transformed. He looks like a player now. He looked a little soft to me. He doesn't look soft now. And we asked him about, he's changed his diet and all this stuff completely. And I asked him about Des Watson. How is his body changing? He made a comment. Now, you can tell me more because you were around the NFL forever. But he said that Des Watson's benching like 560 or 80. I was like, what? Is that even possible? I mean, you were in the NFL. Guys weren't throwing. Yeah, exactly. Guys weren't throwing 500 pounds up in the NFL very often. But
no, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah. Look, I'm excited for Billy Napier, bottom line. He is bringing energy. He's bringing organization. He's bringing discipline. He's bringing a sense of urgency to this program. But it's a long road ahead for it.
Yeah, there's no question. It's going to take several years. But, Edgar, good stuff as always. Time flies by when we have you on. I appreciate your time. And let everybody know how they can check out your work.
OS Gators is the Twitter handle, all my links and stuff. And Mike Bianchi's also are falling under my timeline and getting me yelled at. But yeah, just OS Gators on Twitter, and you'll see everything we do.
Good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it.
That's Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Take a quick time out, come back, wrap up this Friday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for member FDIC. I want to thank JC and Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Have a great weekend, folks. A lot of sports to recap on Monday. We'll see you then. Take care.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.